Hey, one more thing before you go. For an artist, the masterpiece is created by balancing lights and shadows onto a canvas. For the life artist, the masterpiece is created by balancing lights and shadows within his or her own life. Ever wondered if you could be a life artist? Do you want to see your life experiences in color rather than black and white? Stay tuned. In this episode, we're going to have a conversation with a shaman who's going to teach you what and how you can become your own life artist. Don't worry, we'll explain it all. I'm your host, Michael R. Hurst. Welcome to One More Thing Before You Go. Welcome back. My guest in this episode is Rodolfo De Angeli. He's a mentor, he's a shaman, and a speaker over the past 12 years. Through his company, Life Artist Mastery, and utilizing ancient ceremonies, which again we'll talk about, he helps midlife individuals reclaim their identity and live successful, fulfilling, and impactful lives. His mission is to encourage holistic healing, profound spiritual realization, dynamic personal empowerment, and lasting positive life transformations through the fusion of modern strategies and ancient practices. I'm really excited about this conversation. Welcome to the show, Rodolfo.
Hey, Michael, so great to be here. I was listening to your introduction. I was looking around. I was like, oh, who is he talking about? It sounds really cool. But listen, I'm super honored and grateful and super humbled to be here with you today. And I can't wait to do this. We had a little bit of a chat before all this, and I feel super connected with you. I feel extremely on a very similar path, and I can't wait to do this with you. So great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. I think that we are going to create something that's going to motivate, inspire, and educate everyone out there so that you can take the opportunity to transform your life into something better, maybe move it forward in a positive way. And yes, we're going to learn all that from you and I. So
Let's do this.
I appreciate it. Well, I like to start at the beginning. Where did you grow up?
Oh, that's a good one. I grew up in Switzerland. Matter of fact, I was born from Italian parents that migrated to Switzerland from Italy in the late 50s. I was born in '69, and my journey started in Switzerland and progressed through Italy, then later on, and then eventually to Australia, where I'm now. Um, I grew up with foster parents because 6 months into my life, my parents decided to give me away to foster parents, and as they decided to go down the career path and make some money, and I guess I was a little bit in the way of the plans. Obviously, over the 54 years of my life, and matter of fact, last year a big huge turning point happened for me. One of Probably one of the most challenging times in my life, and even though I went through a lot of things, last year was I guess maybe the missing link of it all, where I really was able to see my story for what it really was, not what I was told. And so I was grown up until 11 years old with foster parents, with an auntie and an uncle. And so I barely saw my parents over those years. I saw them every so often over a weekend. And so my life from an early stage became one of trying to fit in, one of learning to please everyone around me, because I thought, what will happen if I don't? And who will take care of me? And as a young kid, as you know, we all try to survive in the best possible ways. And obviously, we can't take care of ourselves at such a young age. But what we do very well is observe, and we understand what to do to get what we need. And so for me, the need I had was love. The need my I have was protection, was survival, and fitting into yet another household, yet another boy or girl that was a part of the household, yet another bunch of toys that I wasn't allowed to touch for one or the other reason. So my life from an early stage was very much like that. And then at 11, my parents decided to have me back, and so they picked me up, and there I was at my house with my parents, which I didn't know really, you know. And so now I got to start to try to do the whole thing all over again. You know, I got to please these people now, and hopefully they are not going to give me away again. And at around 11 years old, I was sexually abused by a family member, by my cousin, which, you know, created another type of trauma that I carried on until 40 years old, really. And where I always thought I'd never be a man, I'd never be able to take care of a good woman, never being able to, you know, overcome things, because if I would be able to do that, I would have taken care of it when I was 11. Obviously, as we both know, it's very hard when you're a little kid when things like that happen. And so, how I was able to overcome that was able to see and acknowledge and accept that I didn't stand a chance. And so, the first person I needed to forgive to be able to carry on in my life was myself. And so, moved out of home at 19, got married very early at 24. You know, had no clue how to be a man, had no clue how to be a husband. You know, my father was very jealous, very possessive. He wasn't physically abusive, but he was very controlling. And so that was my reference point. So guess what I was doing when I was with this woman, and trying to be a husband, right? Control, possessiveness, and all of that. Which obviously my marriage lasted 4 months, and eventually I walked into a room and she's with someone else. And so that was the first time where I thought, okay, well, this people pleasing thing ain't gonna work, because whatever I'm doing, everything is not working and falling apart. I'm always the one missing out. Obviously, I was delusional because I didn't see my responsibilities in all of the things that was happening right in my life. And so we separated, and I started to go down the opposite path. Rather than being the yes man, the you know, acknowledging everything, giving, you know, this invisible transaction of me giving or buying love or buying appreciation, I started to go down a little bit more of a radical path. I associated with people who definitely didn't have my best interest, and eventually I landed in prison. I was in prison at the end of 2000, 1990s, that time.
Okay, Mary.
Um, and, you know, that was kind of like an awakening moment. I'm like,
Can I
wow, whatever I'm doing, you know, I'm missing the point here. Right.
can I backtrack you just a little bit?
Sure.
When you were 19, you moved out.
Yeah.
What I mean, I know what you do now. I know, you know,
Hmm.
obviously you're a shaman. You help other people. You bring people forward on different paths.
Hmm.
What did you want to be when you grew up? I mean, what was your? Do you want to be a chef? Do you want to be an engineer? Do you have aspirations to be? What did you have? Let me try that again. Did you have any aspirations to be like something, a firefighter, police officer, you know, that kind of a thing?
That is such a great question, man. You know what, brother? I never had any aspiration like that. For a long time in my life, I didn't know what to be and what I wanted to be. But then when I went home and reconnected with my family and trying to, like I said before, trying to fit in, try to please these two people now.
Right.
I remember my uncle took me on a building site when my father was a construction worker, and he brought me to this construction site to visit my dad. I was only little. I was probably 11ish, and we arrived to this place, and I've never forget, it was a building site built on a slope, and they were making these houses on this slope, and my dad was pouring concrete that day, and he was at the top of this slope. And when he saw me, the crane that was holding the bucket with the concrete, as it was coming down, my dad held on to it and came down in midair. So I'm a little boy seeing my father midair coming down. It looked like freaking Superman, right? And you know what, man? I wanted to be him. I wanted to be him because I craved him so much. And I wanted to become a bricklayer. I just wanted to be him.
Right.
And so I said, as a at the early age, I said, you know what? I will become a bricklayer. Where everyone at school would say that's a stupid job. Teachers would try to push me to higher
Right.
things, doctors and this and that, have a bigger vision or whatever. But for me, it was that bricklayer. I want to become that. A matter of fact, at 14, got out of school. I wasn't good at school. I had no interest in it. And I went on an apprenticeship at 14 to become a bricklayer. And I started my apprentice in 86. I was a year later. So the first year was more like a helper and whatever. And then I became a bricklayer. I had my diploma, whatever you call it, and yet um, I was never as good as my father. There was a time we worked together for a few years, and I was never as good as him. And I thought, man, I I I tried even this to connect with you. You know what I mean? But I will never be able to make it up. You know what I mean? And I stayed a bricklayer until 24, and then I trained my career, which was still in construction, until 2018, until
That's
only 5 years ago. We lost our business and so on, and then I embarked on this journey, which I am on now, as in, helping people and working with
right.
people. Before, we had a 7-figure business, 42 staff, and so my day was kind of scheduled in a different way. But yeah, that's me. I wanted to be something that would help me connect with my father. It
Well,
wasn't about me.
and that's
Right.
admirable. I mean, everybody, we all want to be something of our parents. For a
Mm,
while, I wanted to be. My father was a journalist. I wanted to be a journalist, and it's life put me in a different path, and
mhm.
life. How do I say this delicately? Life threw me on a different path for a different reason
Right.
because I had a very dysfunctional family myself, and
Right.
the my father was an alcoholic, my mother was an alcoholic, and
Mhm.
I started. I really wanted to be like him. I wanted to write. I wanted to be a journalist. I grew up in a newsroom. I literally, like you did with the bricklayer. You
Mm,
watch your father bricklay. I grew up in a newsroom. I watched my father typing away at a typewriter. I literally went to work at the same newspaper after he died. I went to work with the same newspaper that he
mm,
was working at so that I could kind of be around some of the people that he worked with. But I did it in a different department. I wasn't a writer. I was doing the same thing that you were doing. I think that's normal as children or, a son to a father. We want to be like our fathers.
mm.
And so, yeah, I'm sorry that you weren't able to get that connection from that perspective. But I think that the universe sometimes puts us on a path that we're supposed to be on, and we don't always realize what it is until it is presented to us. In from that perspective, and everything I'm sure that you experienced, everything that you went through, I'm sure that those life lessons are things that help you help others.
Brother, if I had the parents I wanted, I wouldn't be the man I am.
Exactly. What
Right.
our stepping stones to get where we are at are ones that were laid there for a reason. And
Mm,
sometimes climbing those steps is difficult, but once we get to
yeah.
where we're supposed to be, it all fits. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So well done. I mean, it, when your father was a bricklayer and you were a bricklayer, was that in Australia or would you guys?
No, no. I was in Switzerland, so I lived in Switzerland until 2003. My nephews and great nephews, they still there. My brother eventually moved from Switzerland to Brazil, so he lives in Brazil now. Where I moved in 2003, I moved here. My parents migrated or went back home, back to Italy in 1993. So their time ended a little earlier in Switzerland. We stayed there because obviously we all grew up there. We are not Swiss citizens in that sense. We all have an Italian passport only, but yeah, it was a time then, and that's that coming out of prison and and looking to, okay, what am I going to do now, right? And so my thing was, well, you know what, I'm going to leave it all behind me. I'm going to move away. And that happened because in 2001, out of a crazy situation, how life is, right? The divine timing. I was it was the early internet, and I was working on a friend of mine's computer. I had done like a um, evening IT course with a friend of mine and whatever. And so this friend of mine asked me if I could help him out with his computer, clean it up, whatever it was. And there was a chat going on back then called ICQ. And uh, so I'm on this computer, this chat pops up, and I start to communicate with this person. And long story short, this person is my wife today. But it didn't start like that, right? We just met like that online. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. What the hell is going on? You know, this is computer thing and chat thing and so on. But yeah, I came down and visited her in July, a couple of months later, in July 2001, and we befriended. We tried to have a relationship, but you know, we were both people in pain, trying to find themselves, and so the beginning wasn't working. So we tried, but it didn't. And but eventually, you know, when the time was right, we came together. So I believe that me leaving Europe was the way to go, and so I left family, my land, friends, everything, to migrate down here, believing that that was, you know, it sounded very good, you know. And for the first year, it was amazing. So I landed in August 2003. It'll be 20 years this year I'm here. It seems like yesterday. That's how quickly time goes past. And I had the time of my life, man. I arrived here, everything was new, had a big home, looking at the back of a golf course, like completely different than living in you know, Bern, Switzerland, in a little apartment in the city. You know, the weather was nice, and I enjoyed every bit of it. You know, look for a job and had a sponsor and all of the things that made me feel like I arrived. And I remember the pivot point of the story was about probably about nine months later, 9 months after I arrived here. It was a summer night, a Thursday summer night, and I was about to go to bed, but it was so beautiful, it was so warm, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to walk out to the golf course, and my backyard was pretty much the green of this golf course. And so I'm walking out there, nice and warm, and I lay down onto the green, and with the back of my head I touched the flag. And when I looked up, I could see the flag, you know, going a little bit in the wind. It was very still, and I'm like, man, I freaking made it. You know what I mean? I'm life is amazing. Nobody's searching for me. There's nobody coming to my door. There's no bills anymore. You know, I had such a crazy thing going on, you know, back home, and I left it all there, right? So, and I didn't realize that was my moment where I guess life, spirit, God, whatever anyone believes in, consciousness, whatever it is, was the moment it was taking me on a completely different path. And like I always say, you know, you and I can go to a nice restaurant, we can have a nice meal, a beautiful entree, we can have you know, a drink up ahead, and then we have a nice bottle of wine, and we have the desserts, we have it all, we have the music playing, we have everything that is amazing. And yet there is a moment at the end of the night where the bill will be served and we will pay up before we can get out of that place, right? And life does the same, I recognize now. There's no way you're going to get out of here without paying the bill. And so at that moment, life started to serve me the bill for all of the things that I left behind and I just walked out on. And it doesn't work like that. You can't just walk out. And as I later understood from Seneca, reading his beautiful, beautiful book on the shortness of life, he says, no matter under what sky you travel, you will always travel with yourself. And so even though I was on the other side of the globe, it was still me. It was still the man that was driven by ego. It was still the man who didn't know who he was. It was still the man who was scared of being left behind. It was still the man who did so many things wrong, from lying, deceiving, and all of the things, just to feel a part of something. And so life started to chop me down and look for me. And I wasn't aware. I wasn't able to adapt. I resisted a lot. I didn't want to go down that path. I knew I had to look the truth in the eye, but I had no courage. Um, and so I escaped. I constantly escaped from the feeling, from the anxiety, from the depression, from all of those things that life was giving me all these signals. Hey, dude, you gotta make amends. You gotta take responsibility. You gotta make the adjustments. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to hear none of that. My ears was shut. My eyes was closed, and I had 100 fingers to blame everything and the world and everybody in it. It wasn't me. It wasn't my fault that my life was the way it was. It was my dad's fault, my mom's fault, my cousin's fault, my this fault, everybody's fault, my ex-wife's fault, my friend's fault, everyone but me. And so I kept running and running and running and running and running until I came a moment in 2010 where I'm inside my garage and all of a sudden I see this beam in my garage constantly lighting up, and all of a sudden the weird thoughts started to come in. The pain was unbearable. I was imploding. I didn't know what to do. Now I had a woman, right? Now I was with a woman again. Now we're about to get married. I got a business now, again, that, I started to nurture throughout the times, but I'm just a shell. I'm in pain. I got panic attack after panic attack. I'm on 1 mg of antidepressants and anti-anxiety just to shut everything down. And then the day comes where it's another Thursday night, matter of fact, and I'm sitting on the floor, looking at the rope, you know, around that beam, and I'm waiting for the right moment. My wife is thinking I'm training in the garage, and I'm just waiting for the right moment. And I have my back in the back of so in the back of me there was a bike. I used to race super bikes for a little short while. Anxiety took that pleasure out of me as well. But I always kept the bike because it always reminded me a moment of being alive. The moment I would close the visor of my helmet, um, I wasn't going out on the track to die, never. Um, but I felt that was the only time I felt alive. I felt a part of everything. I felt like I was dancing with this incredible, powerful machine around the corners, and everything was still. My mind wasn't talking. Everything was just a beautiful orchestra of perfection. It was amazing. But eventually, anxiety was, became so strong that I couldn't go out there and drive 300 kilometers an hour down the straightaways and so on. And so I had to give it up. But I kept the bike, and so I'm sitting on the floor with the bike behind me, and then I feel this is the time. This is the time to get out of here. And so I get up, and behind me is this window, which you could see out, but you couldn't see in because it was kind of like mirrored. And when I looked out, there was the back of my house, which was the lounge room where my wife was watching a show that night. And at the moment I'm turning around to farewell, she literally bursts out in this incredible laughter, like a hysterical laughter, right? Something happened in the show and she's just lost completely control and just, laughed so much. And that was the moment where something in my head, this voice in my head came through and said, there has to be more to life than misery. And that really got my attention. I'm like, there has to be more to life than misery? Man, I'm living misery 40 years of my life. What is more? And I said, you know what? I want to know what that is. And so let's go and look for it. And so that was the turning point for me to go and look what is more, because I don't know what it is. And I remember entering the house and going to my wife, and we had a quick chat about what really was going on. And I knew there was I felt, not I knew, but I felt it was a new beginning. I didn't know what yet. I was still on the antidepressant, anti this, anti that. I was still depressed. I was still anxious. I was still all of that. But I knew that now it was time to do something. And brother, well, I say divine timing because I truly believe that things come when you're ready. And I stumbled on this quote. And the quote said, if you do what you have always done, you will get what you have always gotten. And that really jolted me because I realized for the first time in my life that I literally was doing everything always the same, expecting that something would change, you know. And so I looked up this quote. I'm like, who says something like that? You know what I mean? And it was by a man which is very close to my heart, Tony Robbins. Okay. And I looked him up and I stumbled on this website, and there was an event 1 week from there. Literally the week after in Sydney. I'm in Melbourne. It's about an hour and a half flight, an hour flight. And I call in front to my wife. She's in the front of the house. I'm in the office in the back. And I said, Grace, do you know this Tony Robbins guy? And she says, yeah, I think he's this speaker, this motivational speaker, American guy. And brother, that was the first time and I never said that before. And I said, do you think he can help me? It was the
Realization.
moment I realized I didn't know how. It was the moment, the first time in my life where I said, I don't know how to do this. I tried, but I truly do not know, and I don't know what to do. So can this guy help me? And so we paid for the ticket, went to Sydney a week later, and went to this place, and now I am super depressed. I'm very introverted still today. Um, Depressed, anxious. I'm away from home, which home for me was the safe space. And now I'm surrounded by, I don't know, 5,000 people jumping around, going crazy at this Tony Robbins event, which seemed like a concert. And I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? I mean, this is craziness. They're completely out of my comfort zone. But but it was a great thing. It was incredible. Helped me a lot. And so I signed up with a coach. Right? I'm like, okay, I'm done with the psychologist. I'm done with the psychiatrist. I'm done with the shock therapies. I'm done with the medication. I'm done with all of this. I got to try something new. And so I signed up with one of his coaches, which is still a dear friend today, um, a lady by the name of Sarah Baslow from Denver, Colorado, um, which has been my coach since then. And and so she helped me a lot. And my business took off to 7 figures. We employed 40 staff. We were like making millions of dollars, driving $300 $1,000 cars. I'm off medication. I am off everything. I'm feeling like amazing. I'm like, dude, this is it. This is finally it. Year and a half later, boom, my depression is back. Boom, my anxiety is back. I got all the money in the world. I get more than I can ever spend. I am going back very, very quick. I'm like, hang on a second. I got all this. What's wrong here? And so reaching out to my coach, say, hey, this is what's happening. You're gonna help me out here because this is not good. And so she tries this and this and this and this and this. And that moment I realized we are on two journeys. not on one journey, but on two journey, the outer journey of achievements and success and things, and the inner journey. Who are we? Who do we need to become to be able to live the life that we desire and deserve and believe we deserve? It's a complete different journey. And so the outer journey cannot fix, cannot,
Mhm.
whatever we achieve cannot fill the void that is within us. That needs to be filled in a completely different way. Otherwise, we'll be always chasing our tail and spinning our wheels 1,000 miles an hour to go to the next thing that hopefully will stay a little bit longer to make us feel the way we really want to feel. And so I realized, okay, coaching isn't it either. Psychology isn't. Psychiatry isn't. Coaching is for a certain type of thing. And yes, coaching can help you, dive a little bit inside you and do some, self development work and whatever. But I realized there's something missing. There is something more than this, which I didn't know what it was. And so, again, divine timing, driving down the road, going to another um, construction site to a meeting. I'm listening to this podcast, and on this podcast is a gentleman talking about his journey to South America and his journey to shamanism and so on. And brother, I'm sure you had that in your life. That is out of nowhere, something comes into your life, and that is it. That is the thing that you have no clue about, but that is the missing link that you're looking for.
Yes, I think that we all have that. I think we all have the ability that is presented to us by the universe, the angels, whatever you want to say, the spirit that talk to us, but we have been indoctrinated to close our eyes and to
Mm,
shut our ears. We
absolutely.
grew up with don't believe in that, don't understand that, so it's not real. You got to hide that, and I think that it takes us the opportunity for something like that to present itself finally, which I think was given to you. I mean, even you looking out the window, I mean, what a miracle to look out the window and see
Mm,
your wife laughing like that. It gave you a purpose in your life again to say, "Hey, I don't want to choose that role playing in there. I want to choose something else." So that started you on the path. Although it may not have been the end result, it gave you the ability to take those
100%.
steps, but you just had to listen and had to open your
100%.
eyes. I think we've all experienced that. It just we've forgotten how to
Yeah.
listen, how to see
Mm,
it, how to hear what's happening within that, so that we can grasp that opportunity. I mean, an amazing it's an amazing journey, an amazing realization, and I think and you can share it with everybody. When you have that realization, it is an immense feeling from your soul. It touches you deep inside, and you kind of go, "Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it."
yeah. When I heard it, I knew that was me. Absolutely 100% agree with you. It was everything slowed down. I'm like, man, this has to be it. And it sounded really terrifying. His journey sounded terrifying and everything. But within me, I knew that this is what I needed to do. I needed to finally heal. I needed to finally understand my story. I needed to finally, become the man that I was striving to become, that I had a glimpse of becoming. And so I looked into it, and eventually, in a very funny way again. I that same day, as soon as I finished the podcast, I called a friend of mine. His name is Robert, and I said to him, and he was going through a tough time as well. And I said, man, you know what? I found our way to happiness. I found our way to reconnecting and truly heal and so on. And so I shared with him the podcast and so on. And that was mid-year, um, and for a little while I didn't pursue it anymore. I knew that was me. I knew that I needed to do that, but I needed the time as well. Obviously, the company, this, that, the other. You can't just go places out of nowhere. And so I kind of had it in the back burner. And one day, a few months later, he rings me and he said, "Hey, could I borrow your tent?" And I'm like, "Yeah, where are you going?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm going away with my wife, and we're going away for the weekend. So we need a tent, but I don't want to buy one. And can I borrow yours?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely." And then I hang up, and as soon as I hang up, I'm like, "Hang on, Rob doesn't do anything below 5 stars. Where is this guy going with a tent?" You know what I mean? So I ring him back. I'm like, "Dude, where are you going?" And I gotta know. I'm like, "Yeah, we're going camping." I'm like, "Dude, you don't camp." I know you. And but anyway, long story short, he said, "Remember that podcast?" And so what happened? His wife is a PT, and one of her clients came to do a session. And as they booking the next week, she says, "No, I can't do next week because I'm going to displace." And she shared what it is, and it was pretty much what I shared with him. And so she goes home, shares with him what happened during the day. He rings her out, and she connects him to go with her. He couldn't do that with me because how this thing worked was you had to go first before you can introduce someone else. And so, I'm like, "Man, you got to take me with you, take me with you." And he said, "I can't do it. I got to go first and then I can invite you in." And so he did. And then eventually in February 2012, I started to, 2013, I started to, uh, my journey into shamanism here in Australia with a guy that I worked a little bit with. I had no clue how the whole shamanic tradition and so on was because all I heard was on a podcast. And so when I went to this guy, I felt that that was a real thing. Eventually, I made it down to Peru. Eventually, the call came for me to go, and that where then that part of the story goes where I started to work with real shamans, with people who devoted their life to the practices, to the original practices, 1,000-year-old practices, and yeah, so my journey started to go up and down from Peru, and first of all, heal. First of all, it was always for my own benefit. I never wanted to become a shaman. It was scary to me, still is today. And it was just about me. It was to you know to fill the void that I had, but also now being able to combine the outer journey and the inner journey. The plan was different. The people that I was working with started to see something within me and approached me, and eventually pulled me into the practice. As much as I tried to resist, but there's a moment where you can't resist anymore. You just have to do. This is the calling. And so the journey started for me to learn and to absorb all of these. The practice I follow is 3,500 years old. It's incredible. It's extremely powerful.
And that,
Um,
and that
but has
radically changed your life, right? I mean, it's
oh man,
3,500 years old. Is that means it's at least, I mean, it's indoctrinated into a system. It's not just
man,
something that
it's
somebody
yeah,
invented a week ago or a couple of
right,
months ago with a miracle cure. It's
right,
3,500 years old, which means it's
yeah,
been in use. And I believe in that. I use, and obviously this is not the same, but similar. I manage my autoimmune disease and my rheumatoid arthritis with Eastern medicine. We use
hmm
acupuncture, we use
yeah,
herbs, we use meditation, we use qigong, we use tai chi,
yeah,
um,
beautiful.
which isn't not the same thing as shamanic, but it's a
Uh,
5,000 to 6,000 year old practice that
mhm.
is well established, and I have been, I it shows to me to be more healthy than I would be if I was on all the 9 medications that they had me on 10 years ago. That about killed me. And, it's I think that when you find something like this, the shamanic practice within itself, I believe it and help me to help everybody else understand, what is a shaman? So when we talk about the 3,500-year-old practice, we talk about what they're teaching you. We have an understanding now that it changed your life dramatically, and what you use. So can you Help us understand what exactly is a shaman and how can that help us?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, I want to say one thing. Shamanism does not change lives. So, what I mean by that, you go into a shamanic retreat, this type of shamanic retreat, we're talking Wachuma. This is the practice that I follow, also known as San Pedro. The medicine is also known as San Pedro, but the original in Quechua language name is Wachuma. Um, Ayahuasca, a lot of people know about ayahuasca and all of that. So there's three shamanic medicine, master medicines in our world, which is Wachuma, ayahuasca, and peyote. Those are the three main plant teachers, healers of our world. Then we have everything else. Mushrooms, kambo, all of the rest is, and I will never disrespect medicines and practices. So it's not a thing of below or above, but those three are the main component, main medicine teachers of the world. It's said. And so if someone goes to do a Wachuma retreat, ayahuasca retreat, or has the chance to do participate to the Native American church, ceremony, that day will not change your life. That night will not change your life. You'll have an incredible experience, very powerful experience, but that will not change your life. What will change your life is you integrating and using what has been given on a retreat like that from Monday onwards when you go home. That is the hard work. So for me, I always say to my guests, the ceremony starts on Monday. What you are going through now over the next 6 days is only rehearsal. And that rehearsal can be challenging, very challenging. It can be terrifying, or it can be absolute bliss. It doesn't matter. Eventually, we'll stop. This practice goes between 12 and 14 hours. So you just have to endure whatever is going on for 14 hours, and then everything will be over. The ceremony, the real ceremony, which is life, that will never end. And so on Monday, the ceremony starts, and what you want to do is try to integrate and embody and do and implement the things that you have learned during the time of a rehearsal. So that is, I want to make this clear because a lot of time, people go to a place and say, okay, I'm going to go here on Friday, I'm going to go home on Monday, and my life is completely changed. There's no more pain, there's no more nothing, and everything is done. If you're looking for that, it ain't going to happen. Right? You're going to have a tremendous awakening, but you will have to do the work. It's not just going to be given. Okay. So that's important. What is the shaman? The shaman is a conductor between the invisible world and the visible world. What I do is I'm the bridge of the two. And my duty and only duty is to get the person connected to that space and then get out of the way. That is also a thing that you want to see within a person who does this type of work. If the person is telling you that they are the thing that makes something happen for you, you better run, because that's not what we're here for. We are here to be a bridge between it and you, and then get out of the way, because practices that are these old medicines that are 3,500 years old. I say that because the first carving that represents the usage of Wachuma is 3,500 years old. Now, I don't know how long before that the medicine was used. Obviously, it's going to be a long, long, long time. Yet, the person is not the healer. We live in a world today where everybody's a healer. I'm a healer. I'm a healer. I'm a healer. Everybody's a healer. They buy a drum over the weekend. They go to a retreat. And Monday they're a shaman as well. My journey has been 10 years old, and it will never end. My teacher is 83, started at 11. Right? This path never ends. So the journey never ends. Today I have done 700 plus ceremonies in my whole life. 700 cups of medicine going down my throat 700 plus times, sitting with myself and with all angles on myself, and you know going through the process of understanding who are we. So if this is something that attracts you, I also invite, do not go to a shamanic retreat of this magnitude, of this power, wachuma, ayahuasca, or peyote, out of, with nonchalance, like, yeah, this is my bucket list, I want to go and do this. Do not do that, because these practices are very powerful and also very dangerous, and especially dangerous if they are served from the wrong hands. There's a lot of ego around, a lot of self-made, you know, healers and all of that. So we got to be mindful. Yet, if you find the right space, the right guidance, the right medicine, the right thing that really literally calls you, because in shamanism we always say it's not you going finding the medicine, it's the medicine finding you. There's a moment where we are just ready and we feel a call, a very strange call, but it feels like it knows our name, it knows our address, it knows our soul, it knows everything, and it's like calling, come here, I got something for you. And so what we want to do is want to have a great intention, a very powerful intention. Why am I going there? Right? I have sent people home that had the wrong intention. Well, I heard about this and I thought I will check it out and maybe this could help me. Ain't gonna be good, because through a shamanic practice, it will come a moment where you will be challenged. It's not if, it's when. And if you don't have a right intention, you'll be in deep trouble. It's gonna be a painful situation. And
I,
so the intention is the most important part of it all.
yeah,
Shamanism and life, right?
absolutely. I think that the what got me out of a wheelchair, what got me walking my daughter down the aisle was the intention to have it done in the
Right.
first place. To made a choice.
Absolutely.
I made a choice, a valid choice, that this was what I was going to do, and I wasn't going to let it stop me. So then I set into place
Absolutely.
the opportunities in order to accomplish that from that perspective. And I
Yeah.
know that your mission as a shaman is to encourage holistic healing, yeah, which you and I had this conversation prior to us starting. That, and I've said it here many times on my podcast. I believe in holistic healing. I think that we have the ability within ourselves to heal within ourselves. We just have to be guided correctly. We have to be able to be provided with the right tools in order to do that. So, from what I understand, is you as a shaman, or whoever happens to be the shaman, helps us with those tools and with that guidance, to kind of give us a more profound spiritual realization, and kind of an empowerment to know what opportunity we have to either heal, move forward, or empower ourselves, to be a better individual. Would you agree with that, or did I miss that?
100%. 100%. At the end of the day, we are at the service of the teacher. And the teacher is not me, but the teacher is the
Right,
medicine, is with what is within the medicine. That's my only duty. I am here to serve you because you allowed me to become a man. This is literally
right,
what this work has done for me. It has healed. It has completely transformed my life. But more importantly than everything, it allowed me to become a man.
right. And a
Right?
better human being, I think.
Right?
Yeah,
It's a man who is able to cry, a man who is able to express, a man who is able to be strong when he needs to be strong, and embrace his feminine part, the gentle, the nurturing, the compassionate part within. It allowed me to be in balance.
right,
Right? That is definitely something that this work has done for me. I mean, I've been practicing this now for a while, a long time, and through our ceremonies, through our retreats, people have overcome depression, anxiety. They have overcome endometriosis. People had a woman, 41 years old woman, got a kid, right? Healed, was able to have a baby. Now she's pregnant on the second time. My wife had
mm,
cancer. We healed that. Um, So this work works if
Right.
you allow it to work, right? And so today, my approach, obviously, not everybody that works with me is going to come to a shamanic retreat, but now the work I do is a combination of modern practices, modern strategies,
Right.
and ancient practices, ancient philosophy, ancient ways of looking at life and at things. And so, as an amalgamation of the both, now I can, bring pretty much anyone that comes with whatever issue, if you wish, they might bring. We
Right.
find a way, his, her way to get through this. And not only, but to learn along the way and make perhaps the biggest challenges, turn those biggest challenges into the biggest teachers, and perhaps turn the mess into their biggest message. And so this is the approach I use. And the first thing I do with people is bring them through this exercise that I call the wheel of life, that gets them to have a look, a tangible look at their life the way it is. Because oftentimes, usually my first word is, or question is, what is life for you? What is it about? Life is blank. What's the word? Right. And through that I understand, oh wow, okay, I get the experience you're having about life, right? Because if someone says life is a battle, it's very different than someone saying, well, life is a dance. Life
Yeah.
is an uphill, journey, or life is a nightmare. Is very different than someone who says, life is a journey, life is a gift, life is a miracle, life is a blessing, right? Life is a mountain, or whatever. Someone, for me, it was always a nightmare. What's life? A nightmare. Life is a nightmare, right? So, what is life for you? Right? Listening, right? What is life for me? Life is blank. What is life?
That's a great question to ask ourselves. I
Right?
think it
Right?
allows us to
What is
reflect within ourselves to decide
yeah,
and make that choice. Do we want to either better our lives or take the time to enjoy it more than what we have, or recognize of something in the past we need to let go? Um,
absolutely,
I've been
absolutely.
I didn't go through a shamanic journey with that regard, but I had to go through my own journey in regarding
Mhm.
recognizing that I had to make a choice. I could have sat in a wheelchair and felt sorry for myself and taken a dark path
Mhm.
and thought, I'm not good enough for anybody here. My wife had to walk me to the toilet. That's very humbling for a guy that was a sergeant that had a team of
Mm.
13 guys, men and
Yeah,
women that looked up to me to lead them, and my wife had to help me on and off the toilet. So,
yeah,
it is, yeah, the very very profound. Thank you for saying that. I think that it's a very good question. What is life? Blank, and you answer that for yourself. I think it's how you can start and open up your journey.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah,
And the answer you will give, that first answer, unedited answer, life is, that will give you already a glimpse at your life, why
yeah,
life is the way it is, right? Life is a heavy weight. Life is a heavy weight. Life is, uh, you know, tragic. Life is pain.
yep.
Life is, you know,
Gives you a
you
foundation
will
to start
understand
building.
really quick why you feel the way you feel, or where you are right now, why you are there, right?
Yep.
And,
Good.
and so I usually open that question with that relationship with the person I'm called to serve, with that. What's life about? And then let's go through the wheel of life. How is life? Right? Oh, life is, life sucks. But where is it good? Well, life is good here. Cool. Let's have a look at life really. And so I make this exercise I call the wheel of life, to actually take out what's in here, what
Right.
we believe is there, but we can't really see it. And now we're going to put that on paper. And the way I do that is I circle I make a circle with a little dot in the middle, and then I draw eight spokes. Eight spokes: health, wealth, love, happiness, relationships, business or career, time with yourself,
Mm,
and spirituality. And now we're going to go from the dot in the middle is zero. And now you're going to make two. You make dots for 2, 4, 6, 8. So you're gonna have 0 in the middle, and 10 is the outside line. And in the middle, you have those dots representing 2, 4, 6, 8. And now you go through it honestly with yourself, because
Yeah.
you can lie to me. I don't care. You can lie to anybody. But one person you cannot lie to, even if you tried, is yourself. Because at the
And
end of the day, when you go and brush your teeth, or if you're a man, you're gonna shave, or if you're a woman, you gotta do your eyebrows and all of that. You're gonna look in that mirror. And if you cannot look in that mirror, if you cannot bear watching yourself in the eye, then there's something wrong. You're lying with yourself. So this exercise, you can't lie. You should
right.
not lie. So health, what is health? 0 to 10. How's health for me? Am I overweight? Am I this? Am I that? Am I tired all the time? Am I blah, blah, whatever, right? And you put a dot in there. Good. Health is 5. Usually we inflate the numbers by 1 to 2, but keep it as real as possible. Health. Wealth. How is wealth? How's my finances? How is the control over my finances? How much do I, do I make? How do I you know the word in English that I'm trying to find is manage. There he is. And all of that, my health, right? My wealth. Love. How's my love life? How much love is in my life? How much love is from my partner, from my kids, from loved ones? How much love is in my life? 1 to 10. Happiness. How happy am I? How much happiness is in my life? 1 to 10. And being up at the next one, relationship. How am I relationship to the outside world, to the other people, to my friends, to my colleagues, to things? Am I calling anybody? Am I reaching out? How do I nurture my relationships? Business, career, same thing. Am I loving what I'm doing? Am I good at it? Am I trying to be as good as I possibly can? How fulfilling is that? Boom, another dot. Now the tricky one, time with myself. How much time with myself do I
Yeah.
spend? Sitting on a couch doing nothing. No book, no phone, no music, no nothing. Just you. No earphones, just you. How much time by yourself, with yourself, do you spend? Go out for a walk, looking around, feeling, wow, this is actually beautiful. 1 to 10. And then the last one, how connected are you to something bigger? We're not talking religion.
Right.
But is there something? Do I feel? Am I connected? How connected are you? How much a part of everything do you feel a part of? 1 to 10. And so once you've done this little exercise with all your dots, you take that same pen and now you connect all of those dots. Boom. And there you see how life really is and how it looks like. And if it's round, you're probably having a good time in life. But usually that wheel of life looks very edgy, very flat at places and so on. And so now you're going to imagine if that was the wheel
Yeah.
of my car and I was going from Arizona to, I don't know, Austin, Texas or whatever, right? Or Melbourne to Sydney for me. How comfortable would that ride be? And it doesn't matter what a car you have. You can have a crappy car, or you can have a super expensive, Mercedes S class, whatever. If your wheel is out of whack, it's going to be a tough ride. So
100%.
this is the first thing I do with people. And there's a connection, as you see, shamanism and a modern practice, right? It's modern practice, okay, 1 to 10, little circle, little spikes. But now it is shamanism is the moment within a ceremony, within your experience, where the plant, the teacher within the plant will come for you to go through all of those things and really call for your honesty, integrity, authenticity, and really answer honestly and say, you know what? Yeah, I need to put some attention in here. I need to be a bit more grateful. Oh, I need to have a little bit more attention.
Right.
Oh, you know what I mean? So
It helps
that
it
is,
helps to balance all of that.
helps to balance, helps to
To balance it.
understand, right?
And
Helps to
can I
understand, where am I here?
Can I ask you this real quick?
Sure.
So I may mess this up when I pronounce it. Ayahuasca. Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can talk.
I bet you do, my friend.
Ayahuasca. How
Ayahuasca,
does
yeah.
something like ayahuasca? How does that help with that? And when we get done with the conversation, I'll relate something to you when we're finished. But how does something like ayahuasca help
Ayahuasca.
us to understand that? My wife knows a little bit about it. I was just kind of introduced to the possibility of that just recently, actually, ironically enough, prior to us connecting, really, which I thought that was kind of
Mm.
unique from the universe. Uh, uh, how does that help through us through this process or to recognize that process?
Ayahuasca, also known as the mother, is a very, very, very powerful medicine. Look, I get goosebumps when I start talking about these things. Um, Literally, I get goosebumps all over. Um, the mother is literally the mother. It really feels like the mother. The nurturing, very powerful, but loving and caring um, encounter with something so much bigger than us. The moment we connect with the mother ayahuasca, is a moment you will never forget. How does it bring us through the wheel of life? Ayahuasca, like Wachuma, like peyote, will present you with the silver platter of your soul and put it right in front of you and go, and so that you can have a look at. Who am I? What is life about? Why is my life the way it is? Where are my responsibilities? Where am I? Where have I created all of the things that are going on in my life? And all of that. So, Madre Ayahuasca, like Wachuma, they present your life on a silver platter. And sometimes it's painful, it's terrifying, it's the deeper down the layer you go, it's like the onion, and you just start peeling and peeling and peeling, and it gets darker and darker and darker. And that's the place that most people don't want to go to. Most people who have gone through trauma, have gone through something, they want to delete that out of their life. They want to push it away. They spend their whole life, like I did for 40 years, pushing away that pain, pushing away those memories, pushing away those feelings, pushing everything away. And in the meantime, we forget to live. Where, what if you could give pain so much love to turn it into happiness? What if you could do that? How would life be then? What if you could stop pushing and start embracing? What if you could stop fighting and start dancing with that pain, with those memories, with all of the things that life has given you? I remember Grace, when she was diagnosed with cancer, she said, "Why me?" And I said, "That's a wrong question. Why not you? Who would you give this to? Who would you give this to? Who would I give the pain of being abandoned as a little boy from 6 to 11 and being sexually abused and all of that? Who would I want to give this to but me? It was given to me. And sure, we are at a time on our life that we don't understand. And I get it. I didn't understand. But there is a moment we have to. We have to understand. What if all of these things happen for us, not to us? What if we don't have to go through a healing process? We don't have to do things, but we actually get to do those things. Life is completely different. And so, what does ayahuasca, wachuma, and all of those things do? They allow us to see our life for what it is, not the story we have created to cope, with what happened. And you know, we live in a world where you go online, Instagram, Facebook, or anywhere, everybody wants to give you a coping mechanism. Everybody's telling you over and over about how your pain feels like. And if you feel that way, you probably have that. If 5 ways to recognize anxiety. Number one, number two. Hey, dude, I lived with it for 40 years. It nearly killed me. I know how it feels. I don't need a reminder just to feel part of a tribe of painful people. And trust me, I was one of those as well. Yesterday, I saw a quote that said, are you living or are you thriving? Sorry, are you surviving or are you thriving? And are you ready to start thriving today? Trust me, if it was as easy as 1, 2, 3, we all would have done it. It isn't that easy. The reason why it isn't easy, because once we go through that surviving time, we create systems, we create patterns, we create mechanisms that help us go through. We associate with particular people, groups that make us feel a part of something. And so telling that person, hey, you're anxious, you're surviving, let's start thriving, it's not that easy, because to start thriving, you got to let go of all of those things. You got to let go of all the things you know, all of the beliefs, all of the system you have in place, all of the crowd you have around you, all of that. And even though anxiety, depression, and all of that sucks, trauma sucks, you know how it feels like, but you don't know how the other side feels like. And so that is something that scares us. And so, yes, this sucks and I don't want this no more, but man, I don't know what's going to happen today. And how are people going to perceive me then? What if I turn my back to those people, to this crowd? Who am I going to be over there? Am I going to find someone that's going to embrace me as these people do? So I rather speak about anxiety and depression and my feelings, how bad it is and how it never will change, all day long. At least I feel a part of something. And so ayahuasca, wachuma, that's what they do. They bring you in front of the way you're living. They bring you in front of all of the pain. They push you to let go of the judgment and start to embrace it. They start loving that part of you as well. That's where the life artist terminology comes out, right? That's why my program is called Life Artist Mastery. It's the moment where we like, okay, I know I have a lot of light. I'm a good person, right? We're all good people in our soul. We're all the same in our soul. We're all same. In la kecha lakin, I am another yourself, right? And so we have that light, but we have the darkness as well. But the darkness is sort of repel because we don't want to be that. But we have to have both. Because a beautiful painting that you go to the Louvre or you go to the beautiful museums, people travel across the globe to go and see, what is that masterpiece? It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece because the artist was a master in balancing shadows and lights. And so, what if we became the master of our own life, the artist of our own life, and start to embrace and balance those shadows and those lights within ourselves, the things that happen for us, but also the person we are becoming because of it. In 2015, I went back and reconnected with my mother because I realized that I could never be the husband my wife deserved if I didn't fix or healed my relationship with my mother. I had to. There was no other way. Because my wife did not receive what she signed up for on that day. I was playing at 70% at best. Because there was still something within me that was judgmental and resentful and so on. And if I do that towards the most important woman in my life, which is a mother, guess what am I going to do to any other women? I will hold back. Because I will protect myself from being hurt. I will protect myself from being judged. I will protect myself from going through pain again. And so I entered this silly trade of trading love for connection. And so I'm not going to love anymore. I'm going to connect with you. I will love my kids. I love my cat. I love my dog, but I ain't loving my partner fully because what if
Mhm.
I get hurt? And so now I'm entering this invisible transaction again. This is all shamanism. It's all invisible but real. And so shamanism brings us to those places that lets us understand and see the the path, the energetic path of the interaction of the transactions. Am I doing what I'm doing because I want to do and get to do them and this is who I am? Or is there an invisible transaction? I'm doing this because there is a thank you coming back. Or I'm doing this because someone will see me as a good person. I'm doing something because I will get something in return. And so now you're having an invisible transaction and you are not being honest. You have no integrity. You're
Right.
doing it just because you're receiving something or you're hoping. How many times have you come to a crossing and you let a car through and the person in the car did not acknowledge you and you said, "Man, you could just say thank you." Ha, you made an invisible transaction. You didn't stop because
Right.
you wanted to stop and that's what it is. You stopped because something subconsciously was looking for the reassurance that you are a good person. So, shamanism, wachuma, ayahuasca, those are the things that they do. They expose all of those invisible things that we energetically tied to us. And through my program Life Artist Mastery, this is what I do with people. I go and help them go and find all of those things, a part of healing the trauma, healing the past, healing those things, forgiving oneself so that we can forgive someone else. Because people say, "Yeah, no, I can forgive someone else." Yeah, cool. Oh, how about you? Well, I find it a little bit hard to forgive myself. Great. That's great to know. But know also that if you can't forgive yourself, you can't forgive nobody else because you're just pretending. Last year, I went to Italy and Grace and I decided to go to see my mom. My mom is 90 years old this year. And my mom, through the whole thing that happened over the last couple of years, was very lonely. So she said, was very lonely and she had nobody going to visit and so on and so forth. And since 2015, when we had this reconnection, we had a beautiful relationship. We saw each other a couple of times for a few weeks at a time over the years, and we communicated every single day over Skype. Well, it's an amazing, beautiful relationship. And so last year, Grace and I made a big decision and said, you know what? What about we travel to Italy and we look for a house and a house big enough for us all, and we get our my mom to live with us until the end of her days. And so I get to, a little selfishly, get a little time with my mom, but also do what seems to be right. And so we left here. We didn't give up the house, thank God. And we went to look for a house. We went to spend time with my mom. So we moved in with my mom in her little apartment. And 10 days later, living with her after I moved out 19 years old, was the first time I lived with her. The first 10 days were amazing. We had a great time. It was summer. We went there the 20th of May last year, so about a year ago, nearly. And we had the time of our life for 10 days. And then on Saturday, we live close to the biggest lake in Italy, Lake Garda. And I said to my mom, hey, I'm bringing Grace to the lake today. We're going out. Beautiful day. And she said, yeah, that's fine. That's awesome. Have fun. Awesome. We came back, we left around 11 a.m. We came back at 9:20 p.m. Walked into the house and there was a light coming out from the kitchen. And so I realized my mom was still awake. And as I come around the corner, she's sitting at the table in the kitchen looking straight at me coming from the door. And she said, "Do you know what time it is?" And I said, 9:20, 9:25. And she gets out of the chair, comes towards me, and she says, "If you think that you're here in a holiday, you can go back to where you came from because I don't need you. You're here to look after me and stay with me every single moment of the day because I need company.
Wow.
Now, go to your bed and think about what you did."
Wow.
I am 54, my mom is 90. And I'm like, wow, where did I see this before? And so for the next 3 months of that, I got to know my mom. I got to really know my mom. And I got to understand why she gave me away. I got to understand all of the things, right? I was in the way. My mom is very narcissistic, very controlling, very manipulative, unfortunately. But this is what I had to see. And this is the time, one of the time where the work I do was more than ever tested. And there were times that there was several, like, man, over 3 months, the amount of time I cried in bed at 9 a.m. in the morning, um, saying, man, I don't know how much more I can take of this. Countless. Yet every morning I will get up 7:45, prepare a breakfast, prepare her coffee, bit of milk in there, the biscuits on the left, her eye drops, her medications, ready every day. Because what if the people that are hurting us, what if they are just showing us what not to do? What if they show us how not to be? And so we can take that
Yeah.
as something that happens to us. Someone is nasty, someone is, and trust me, my mom, man, the things my mom told me, it's out of control, literally out of control. And so clients and friends would say, "What are you doing?" They come back home. And I'm like, you know what? No. Because if I do come back home before this lesson is over, I will not get it and I
Wow.
will not grow from it. It was really a matter of, and I have these exercises I do with people where I grab two flowers. I grab a white flower and a red flower, and I show them to people and say, which of those two flowers would you like to receive? White or red? And so they might say red. They might say white. I say, cool, I give you the opposite one, the one you don't want. How is it now? How you feel now? It's nice, still nice. And I say, a little disappointed? Yeah, a little bit disappointed. I like the other one better. Great. Now, what if you can see the flower, not the color? What if you can see the essence, not the curtain? This is shamanism. Go behind the curtain. So what if I can see my mother, not not her physical body, what she's doing, how she's acting? What if I can bypass all of that? And you know what I have for my mom? If I can see her as the essence, which is motherhood, there's only love. There's no room for judgment. There's no room for nothing like that. It's only love. And that is the moment where the shamanic practice or life artist mastery, where I bring people to get to that place where anything that happens, what if we can see through it? What if we can see the bigger part of it all? It's like when people lift the cup and awachuma or ayahuasca, for that matter, taste very, very bad. And so when people come for the cup and gotta lift the cup and you gotta drink that medicine, it's whoa. And I can feel that energy, that repelling, that yuck, oh God. And I always whisper in their ears, see the teacher within the cup. And all of a sudden the taste just changes. It's like hot chocolate. because now we are seeing beyond
Yeah.
the curtain that duality presents us. What if we lived a life of non-duality? What if we could really always see in la que chalakin, I am another yourself. I am just talking to myself here. I am literally having a conversation with myself. And if I can see that at all time, if I can see that in our pain, if I can see that within all of the things that life has given us, the life changes straight away.
Yeah.
Then you can go from suffering and surviving to thriving, because there is no suffering if we can see the essence of it and what the power behind it all, the things that it really can do for you. If people are bad to us or nasty to us, what if they roll, which is quite an honorable thing, what if they roll to come to earth was to help you grow? What if they were there to show you how not to be, what not to do? And all of a sudden, guess what? You have the biggest lesson of your life. And if you embody them, like I said in the ceremony rehearsal, now the ceremony is back on Monday when you go back, and you implement and integrate and use all of the things you've been given. How is life then? And more than that, in Spanish we say, yo bebo esa medicina para el bien de todos. I drink this medicine for the good of all. It's not about us.
Interesting.
What if, right? It's not
Yeah.
about us. We don't go through the pain, through all of this, to this adventure of life that life is for us. What is that? That is how most people go through. That's why they're anxious,
Yeah.
depressed, and disconnected and lonely and in despair all the time. Because me, how has that happened to me? How can do it to me? I left you through the crossing. How could you not say thank you to me?
Yeah.
Who are
I
you?
think that's society today. I think it's all about me, 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 me.
Right? And
Obviously
so,
we're human beings. We all go through it. When I
oh,
first was
100%.
given the
I still do it.
yeah, I was given the diagnosis that I was given, and it's like, why me? I was a good cop. I was a good person. I was a good father. I was a
Huh?
good husband. I was a good son. Kind of a thing. I was a good brother. Why me? I was doing good with my hands and my eyes because I was catching bad guys, putting them away. I worked
Of
domestic
course.
violence for like 4 years straight, specifically domestic violence. I put some very bad people behind bars. It is, I think it's a question we all have to ask ourselves. But at the same time, there's always, it's like that old Elvis Presley song, Walk a Mile in My Shoes. If
Mm,
you walk a mile in my shoes, you'll understand a little bit more of what I'm going through, what I feel, why I feel the way I feel, why I'm in the circumstance that I'm in. And it gives you more compassion. It gives you more empathy. It
mm,
allows you to take, like you said, go behind the curtain and see a little more of why somebody's grumpy, why they're a little snappy, why they're a little irritable, why they're in pain. I think it gives a great foundation from that. So there's brilliant, brilliant words. An amazing opportunity. I do have to say this though. Let's talk about how to get a hold of you. I could talk to you for another hour, which I think you should come back and we'll do another part two because
I
there's so
love
much
to. I
more
love
people
to.
can learn.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
uh,
Absolutely.
but
Um,
let's talk about how somebody can get. Whoops, just a minute. Let me try that so I can cut that out.
That's all good. You can find me on Instagram. By the way, I just have a brand new Instagram had to start because I got hacked by bots and they killed my channel. But Rodolfo De Angeli on Instagram, Rodolfo De Angeli on TikTok, on Facebook, Rodolfo De Angeli. Life Artist Mastery is my group on Facebook. My podcast, Life Artist Radio, over there. And yeah, just reach out. Perhaps it's the best thing on Instagram. Send me a direct message, and happy to go through that wheel of life with you personally, and just mention the show and all of that, and I'll be more than happy to jump on a call with you for an hour and really do that wheel of life with you. It'll be an absolute honor. But yeah, if you liked the show, perhaps reach out. I'd love to connect. And but yeah, that's where I'm at. Instagram, Rodolfo De Angeli, TikTok, um,
And
Twitter,
your website.
everywhere. It's my name.
And then the website's up here on screen for those of you that
Yes.
are listening to the podcast. It is
Yeah.
www.rodolfidean.
RodolfoDeangeli.com. And actually, I got a brand new challenge going on right now called 7daygratitudechallenge.com, where, we're going to go together on a little challenge every day, one day at a time, reconnecting with gratitude, but also set a little foundations and some great tools that I'm sharing with you there. So 7-day gratitude channel 7-day gratitude journey. Sorry, let me say this again. 7-day gratitude journey.com. There it is.
Yeah, we have something in common. Our brain works faster than our mouths.
Oh my God, is it ever?
Yeah, our brain works faster than our mouths. I will make sure that those are in the show notes for everybody so that you have an easy way to just to
Thank
click
you.
that and connect. Uh, this is one more thing before you go, Rodolfo. Do you happen to have any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our viewers and our listeners?
Michael, and I love to share this next time. I believe the most important words in our life are thank you and sorry. And at this moment, the right word is thank you for allowing me to come on and just be me and share a journey that is not any different than yours or anybody listening. Because in Lake Chalakin, I am just another yourself. So thank you, Michael, for having me here. I can't wait to do this again, but I can't wait to stay connected with you and yeah, go on from here. So
Very
thank you.
profound. My heart and soul are with you as well. Thank you very much. I'm honored by you being on the show. I look forward to having another conversation and sharing some more wisdom with everybody. So, thank you very much for connecting and for reaching out. And I'm so glad the universe put us together. So, thank you to the universe. Uh, I look forward to another conversation down the road. I will have everything in the show notes for everybody to reach out to you. Please reach out, mention the show. One more thing before you go. When you do reach out to him, and you'll have a little something special and extra. So, for now, thank you very much. Have a great day. Have a great week. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to this episode of One More Thing Before You Go. Check out our website at beforeyougopodcast.com. You can find us as well as subscribe to the program and rate us on your favorite podcast listening platform.